Now listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth. Right now.
Ooh.
That was the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it. It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody. Showtime.
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
Good afternoon, 4:06, 6 minutes after 4 on the 23rd day of June in the Lord's year 2016. Thanks for joining us again today. If you are joining us for the very first time because you saw the television coverage yesterday, I guess that's how it works. Thanks. We are a radio station that talks, and some of our talks are preachers and teachers telling you about the gospel. And the other half of our talkers are like me, passionate Jesus freaks who have a biblical worldview, who can say Jesus many times as we want. I really enjoy filling in for Michelson when he's gone. I wish I never had to, but when I do, I'm always reminded, now, this isn't a Christian station where you can say Jesus all you want. I said, I get it, because those listeners go just absolutely ape. I said Jesus like 3 times in one show, and it was like, the world's burning. So that's okay. I used to be the same way. When I heard Jesus on the radio, I went, come on. We don't need to say that name. Well, what are you saying that name for? Well, you say it because it's the most powerful name on the universe. Why do you think the Legion, who is filled with demons, when Jesus walked around the corner, they knew who he was? They knew you were defeated by his name alone. Jesus didn't do anything except cast the demons out, throw them into the pork, and watch the pigs fly. That's it. But the name and the presence is powerful. If you don't believe that, why don't you just listen for a while? Will you do that? I don't know. Give me a week. Give me 5 shows, 10 hours. And if I haven't by that time showed you that Jesus is an acceptable, I don't care if you believe in him. Remember this. If you don't believe in Jesus, he believes in you. So you're done. Anyway, he's going to mug you. The hound of heaven is coming. And you can either say, Lord, come to me and teach me about you, because you can always reject him. Not. But give it a shot. See what you think. Frank?
That was the 2 demoniacs that was filled with a legion of evil spirits, and a legion in military terms is somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 troops. So potentially these demoniacs had 3,000 to 5,000 demonic entities in them. So
do you think each pig just got one demonic, or were there 3,000 pigs? I mean, you're kind of a pork expert.
No, they just went into the swine, and the swine went over those.
Well, and see, you always have that thing in Iowa, when pigs fly.
Right.
Just go to the Bible, dude. They fly. I mean, they don't land very well, but they do take off. All right. 10 after 4, 515-244-0077. That's the number you can call and get on the air. I'll say it slower. 515-244-0000. No, that's wrong. 0077.
Right.
And the Service Legends Truth text line is also open at 515-809-0993. Frank is just giddy today because Bob's gone, and so Frank gets to run the text. And yeah, that is an upgrade here. I mean, Frank and Chris, they just sit around and yap. The guys that really work hard is Jebediah, Bob Montserrat, and the guests. They're the ones that really work hard. So Frank got an upgrade for the next 2 days.
Hey, I got to tax my brain too,
Yeah, your brain is taxed, all right. But anyway, so, and as we always say, Frank's a single guy, always looking for a quality Christian woman. So here's your chance to be somewhat anonymous. And hi, Frank, I'm Betty. How are you? All right, no, this is not ChristianMingle.com.
Just don't hook me up with Laquan.
Laquan. Laquan was a transgendered male or female. What are they?
I think
they're
it
what
was
they
a
think
man.
they are, right?
It's what they think they are.
Oh, so it's a girl.
No, he's a man that thinks he's a girl.
Right. That's
you
what I
go.
just
Now,
said.
you guys should know this. We had a whole show on it.
Yeah, they are what they think they are. That's how you should identify them. Now, you'll probably sit there and go, now, wait a minute. Isn't that kind of anti-Christ or anti-Christian? No, it's called polite. It's called polite. Jesus did not send us here to be rude. He sent us here to love who? The neighbors? Well, that's kind of tough. Our enemies? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Are you telling me that this Jesus tells me to love my enemies? Try it. You'll like it. All right. I want to introduce you to Brendan McKnight and Jason Poole. They have a company called Suncrest Hospice. And this is a community-based hospice. We're going to learn about this ministry over the next couple of 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so. And we're also going to talk about how the listener could become a volunteer. Am I right?
That's right.
And help you guys visit people who are on hospice.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. Welcome, guys. How you doing?
Good. Doing well. Thanks for having us.
Also, here is my friend and brother in Christ, Golden Heart Senior Care, Stephen Stegall. No, not that one. His hair is much shorter. And Stephen and his family run a Christ-centered home health care.
Home care company, yes.
Yeah. And they're not into hospice yet. And so, or did I say that right?
We actually will work with hospice as well.
Will you? Okay. And I just invited Stephen in because I wanted to get, maybe it's the same perspective as you guys have, but just, maybe a couple different perspectives. You don't feel like you're in competition with each other, do you? Okay,
no,
good.
Definitely not, no.
All right, because Stephen, you'd be out of here. I'm just telling you.
I understand.
All right, Frank, we got a text yet?
No.
Oh, okay.
So keep them coming. Get them coming.
All right, so who started this?
Well, actually, Suncrest, we started about just over a year ago, providing care here in the Des Moines area. And as we've grown, we've been able to extend our service offerings to pretty much 9 counties here in central Iowa.
Okay.
Our focus is to take care of people in their homes. So when folks are faced with end-of-life challenges and end-of-life decisions, we have a whole team of different people that meet those folks where they're at and basically try to meet their needs from a clinical standpoint, sometimes from a spiritual standpoint, emotionally. A lot of people have the misconception that hospice is a place that you go right before you die. Hospice is really more a philosophy of care. And so what we try to do is to make sure that we empower folks who want to be in their homes and go through the end-of-life process to give them as much quality of life and advocacy as we can.
All right. Now, do you know, I didn't ask you this before, so you may not know the answer. Do we know what the word hospice means? Stephen?
Well, it's dealing with end-of-life issues.
Okay.
For the most part.
Is it a Greek word, a French word, or we don't know? Okay. Google that, Jebediah. See if you can find out the root of hospice.
I mean, there's similar words that have that root: hospitality, hospital. Essentially anything to take someone in to provide them care when they need it. I don't know what the root of origin is.
All right, let me ask you this. So what if I take a homeless person in? Well, given yesterday's show, that's probably a stretch. So I take a brother in who's kicked out of his house or whatever. Am I giving him hospice? No?
I would say no.
Okay.
No. I mean,
hospice has something to do with your medical condition.
Exactly. Hospice, when we look at the spectrum of what type of care people receive over a lifetime, toward the end of life, you have a gamut, part of the spectrum that we call palliative care. Hospice is a form of palliative care, but hospice is truly the very end of life and the care that someone receives truly at the end of their life. Okay. Now, what that very end means varies greatly from one person to another.
Okay.
We've cared for some patients for a number of hours before they pass away, others for months. So it really depends on, who makes a referral to that patient for hospice and where they're at in their disease process.
Jebediah, you have the root word of hospice?
Yeah, hospice is a noun, a home for providing care for the sick, especially for the terminally ill. And by the way, did you want to know the news on the fireworks? Okay, this is from the Des Moines Register, your favorite paper. Here's the lead of the story. A last-ditch try to resurrect a bill to legalize consumer fireworks prematurely exploded in the Iowa Senate on Wednesday.
All right, so we don't have legalized fireworks.
Yep,
All
essentially.
right, thank you. That was from last hour. I'm sorry. I didn't call on Jebediah to give us the answer. All right. And Brendan, you are the director of marketing.
Right.
And Jason, you are the chaplain.
Correct.
And a lot of people will know you from where?
For almost 13 years, I was student ministry pastor at First Assembly at Gautam Road.
All right. Now, are you still associated with that ministry?
Yeah, my family and I, we still attend there.
But you're not doing the youth group anymore?
I am no longer on staff. That's correct.
This is what you do now.
I am full-time with Suncrest, yes.
Why? And let me break that down a little farther. You're working in a church, a good church, long-standing, excellent church in our community, leading youth to Jesus and preparing them to be disciples, and you go to all the way to the other end of life to take care of people as they leave this earth.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it is. I think it's fascinating.
Don't make them regret the decision, man.
No, I don't want to. No, I don't want to at all. But I just think it's interesting that someone would go from taking care of the kids to taking care of the dying.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story. I don't know if we have the time to tell it.
Well, how long does it take?
A few minutes, I guess.
Okay, we're going to take a break.
Sure.
And then I'd like to hear that because I think that's important.
You bet.
I want to hear people's passions. Okay, I want to know, are you doing this because, they paid me more than the last guy? Or I'm doing this because, my dad owns a company, and if I don't work for my dad, it's going to be a tough Christmas. Or I got called. I kind of got this on my heart. And so that's why I'm here. So I don't know what your story is. Don't tell me when the microphones are off. You hold that for 3.5 minutes, and we'll hear that when we come back. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and if I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening and watching and chatting and texting. I love this job, and I couldn't do it without you. Right here. Powered by Webcast One Live, this is The Truth, 99.3.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcastonelive.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza, and it's got Graziano sausage.
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
All right, good afternoon. 21 minutes after 4:21. Retirement is important. You know it is. Right now we're talking about people who are going into hospice, and one of the ways they probably got there was because they made good common sense decisions on their retirement. Weiss Merkel Financial, 278-4110. They've got a Empowerment to Retirement session coming up here in a couple weeks, 3 hours on a Thursday night, and the tickets are complimentary if you'd like one, or two, or four, or six, how many ever you want. Give them a call, 278-4110, and tell them Max sent you. All right, my guests today are Brendan McKnight and Jason Poole from Suncrest Hospice, a community-based hospice, and also Stephen R. Stegall, Jr., president and owner of Golden Heart Senior Care here in Central Iowa. So we're kind of talking about home care and hospice today. And I asked Jason Poole, who for 15 years? 13 years?
Almost 13 years, yeah.
12 and a half, 13 years, was the youth minister for Great Church, Assemblies of God there on Merle Hay Road. And then, all of a sudden, what'd you hit, like a midlife crisis or something? He goes from helping kids at the beginning of life to helping people at the end of their life. How did that happen?
Sure. So at the beginning of 2015, I took a course at Methodist Hospital, CPE course, and it was mainly just for continuing ed. It was to improve some skills, better bedside manner and care for people that are, sick or in the hospital or whoever. And took that course. It ended in May, and had that endorsement then. And then a few months later, a good friend of mine who was the chaplain at Suncrest at the time, was working there as a part-time person, approached me. She got another job and said, "Hey, I'm leaving Suncrest. It's a great company, just amazing people to work with. I think you'd be fantastic at this chaplaincy job. Would you be interested?" And I said, "Sure." It was great part-time work. It wouldn't interfere with my responsibilities or duties at the church there. So in September, accepted the position, and about a month later, the owners of the company came in for a quarterly meeting, and I got to meet them and rub shoulders with them, and just really hit it off with them. And we started talking about the idea of coming on full time with the owners. The company was young, but it was growing rapidly, and they saw the writing on the wall. We were going to probably need, this is them talking, we were probably going to need someone full time in that role very quickly. And so they put the bug in my ear probably mid-October, and I always knew, Mac, that I wasn't going to be an 80-year-old youth minister. That at some point in my ministry career, if you will, that God would open a door and close this one that I was currently in. So I was very aware of that, being middle-aged. And so I just kept thinking about that and praying about that, wondering, okay, God, is this the way you're going to lead? And after a couple months of thinking, praying, and consulting with mentors, even talking with my senior pastor, who was the decision-making process, a great mentor there, I realized, you know what, this is a door that God has opened. I have not gone seeking after this. It truly felt like a God thing. And so in January, I resigned as the youth minister there at First Assembly and went on full-time at Suncrest Hospice.
So what do you do?
I'm the chaplain. So I go in and provide emotional and spiritual support for those who have requested, because not all of our patients want to receive chaplain services. But if they do, then I go in and visit with them, and just to make sure that are they at peace with life, with the relationships that they're about to leave here on earth, and also with God.
How I mean, this is probably an obvious answer, but I want to hear your answer. How is the ministry different, and how is it similar to what you used to do?
Yeah, it's really similar in the fact that you're there to help people find faith. You're there to help people sort out their questions that they might have with God, with the afterlife. So from that perspective, I don't see a lot of differences. So probably a lot more similarities than there are differences.
All right, you're listening to Jason Poole, Brendan McKnight, and Stephen Seagal. Jason and Brendan are with Suncrest Hospice, and Stephen is with Golden Crest Senior Care. You jump in.
Golden Heart Senior Care.
What did I say?
Golden Crest.
Oh, Suncrest, Golden Crest, Sunheart.
I see a merger in the future.
I do. I see a merger. So you just jump. All you got to do is raise your hand like Frank's doing. Frank?
As a chaplain.
Thank you, Frank.
We had a conversation here in the radio last week or two about Christopher Hitchens and the idea of whether he had the deathbed confession. As a chaplain and dealing with people who are about ready to go into the afterlife, you ever run into atheists that kind of have that moment of that epiphany that maybe Christ is real and I maybe ought to give my heart to him before I kick?
I know there are those stories, and I've heard and read probably the same stories you have, but personally, I have not encountered anyone who has had that deathbed confession. Most of my encounters with the patients that we serve, the families that we serve, either they already have a deep-seated faith, and I am coming alongside with them and possibly their minister that is there with them because they've been connected to a church, right, and just supporting that faith that they currently have. And then there are those that, maybe for the first 10 years of their life, 80 years ago, they grew up in the church, they had a concept of God, but haven't thought about it for the last 70 plus years. So I go in and just ask questions. I'm not necessarily there to get them to believe what I believe in the faith. I'm there to help them wrestle through what faith that might be existing in their life. And so, yeah, I've not personally had the opportunity to see that deathbed confession yet.
And I don't really want to talk about deathbed confessions, but so Frank, that's your last question. Stephen?
Do you get a lot of pushback when you start asking questions in regards to those people that do not have faith such as we do in Christ? Because, this is the last time they actually have a chance to accept him before they find out the truth.
Yeah, typically no. As you can imagine, with whatever time that individual has left on this earth, they're asking those questions. They're as much as they can cognitively and they are asking those questions. And I'm asking those questions, and when I feel that wall go up or I feel that pushback, I back off. I don't go in guns a-blazing and accept Christ or else. That's just not the approach that I think a chaplain needs to be taking.
Understand.
All right, 429 here on The Truth, 99.3 KTIA. Appreciate that you being here. This is Max World Live. We're on every day, 3 to 5, and Monday through Friday. And tomorrow I'm taking another vacation day. I'm really getting kind of lazy, aren't I, Stephen? I'm working like a 4-day week every week. But a lot of stuff going on. I want to spend some time with my grandchild tomorrow. This is going to sound really bad after 4 kids and 6 grandkids. I just really want to just hold her. Anybody else a grandpa? Wayne? No? I just want to hold her. Do you ever feel that way about your grandson?
Sure. I'm a grandpa.
Well, but I'm a grandpa too, but I've never had such a yearning to just embrace this child, because I guess there was a moment where I didn't know if I'd be able to do that again.
Well, that's life is such fleeting. It can happen in a fleeting second. It can be gone. So make the opportunities count while you got them.
My wife said something interesting the other day or yesterday. She said, and I never thought about this, but that podcast from yesterday and that television interview that we did is now preserved forever. And she's 14 months old. She wouldn't understand anything. But when she's 14 years old, she can go back and remember the day that, this family froze for about 5 hours thinking we were going to lose her. So anyway, Brendan McKnight and Jason Poole from Suncrest Hospice and Steven Seagal from Golden Heart Senior Care. I got it right that time. And we're talking a little bit about hospice. What's the worst thing about your job? Either one of you.
Boy.
I mean, in a way, I think funeral directors play a very important role in families.
I would agree.
But let's face it, it's not is it a fun job? I don't. You go around high-fiving, they want the big casket. Boom.
I would have to say personally, one of the things that I didn't expect when I started in hospice about 8 years ago, one of the things I didn't anticipate when I first started was, unfortunately, seeing how much dysfunction really happens in families. Everyone says, "Oh, my family's crazy." When you see how other families interact and deal with death and dying, that will open your eyes to a lot of the dysfunction that can happen. And so that can be disheartening if you're not clear in terms of what you're there to do. But I think, when our team is present, we've always said, we have to be at our best when a family and a patient are at their worst. And so, our job is basically to comfort, and there's no one right way to do that. So it's always kind of a new, feeling your way through each family dynamic and each process. But that's what I enjoy about it, is the fact that it's kind of new and fresh each day. And I think the benefits that our team provide to our patients really are just that.
I know that there are people in the wedding industry, the funeral business, things like that, the hospice business, that family is most usually an element that you have to have the tools for to handle, because every once in a while, I don't know, maybe it's too often nowadays, you get estranged siblings or family members that one wants this and the other one wants that, and they're basically laying it on you, going, well, who are you going to choose?
Right.
How do you work through that?
Well, it's interesting. So I was looking at your business card.
Yes.
And one of the things that stood out to me was make decisions with ice water. Where was it at?
Make decisions with ice water in your veins, then carry them out with emotion.
Okay, so that stood out to me before we started this interview, mainly because I wish everyone would do that in terms of what they want their legacy to be. A lot of those challenges that we encounter when someone is not able to make their own decisions any longer are things like, what would I want to do with my finances, my assets? Those things, unfortunately, that the material things that often drive a wedge between family members.
Yeah. And you don't think, and you're telling me that some of the time those things have not been taken care of by the time they get to that point in the end of their life?
I would say more often than not. Folks have not designated who, well, first off, what decisions I would want to have made for me, who is going to make those decisions. So I would encourage everybody, no matter what their age is today, go out and be an advocate for yourself and say, if tomorrow I wasn't able to make my decisions, who would I want to be my advocate, and what would my decisions be? And so, I would encourage everybody, regardless of their age and health today, because you certainly have a tough enough time thinking about your mortality when you're well. Imagine getting hit in the face with a diagnosis where you may have less than 3 months to live or less than 6 months to live, and compounding the emotional component of that makes decisions. It makes it hard to have ice water in your veins at that point.
Yeah, but that's a good Macism. Make decisions with ice water in your veins, then pour yourself into that passion.
Exactly.
But don't pour yourself into that decision with passion. All right, we're coming back with these boys, men, Brendan McKnight and Jason Poole from Suncrest Hospice, and we have Steven Seagal from Golden Heart. We're here, we're live, we're for you, and thanks for listening.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs,
And I'm the service manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
4:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Salem Radio Network News at the top, and then Bible Answer Man. His name is Hank, and it's 1-888-ASK-HANK. Give him a call. His worldwide live show, 5 to 6, right here on 99.3. Now more than ever, you know we need a revival in this country, and there's an opportunity for you to be a part of one. Coming up at the Family Leaders Summit 2016. July 9th here in Des Moines, the event will feature Ann Graham Lotz, War Room actor T.C. Stallings, biblical worldview expert Dr. Del Tackett, and more. You can get your tickets today at thefamilyleader.com. I'm going to be honest with you. I have a 10-year, no, not a 10-year class reunion. That'd be fun. My hometown, Beatrice, Nebraska, is there. Actually, the community in the school district is throwing a big reunion this year for anybody who graduated from 1970 to 1979, and I graduated in 75. And I want to tell you about the town I grew up in. Okay, it's a wonderful town, but it's a little bit Mayberry. Okay, it's bigger than Mayberry. But everybody knows where the sheriff was, and the sheriff's home is also the jail. You know those pictures. And I got a call from the superintendent of school several months ago, and they said, are you guys old enough to remember Robert Taylor? Okay, Robert Taylor was a famous, handsome actor in probably the 40s and 50s. And he is from Beatrice. That's my hometown. And so the superintendent of school says, well, he's the most famous guy that ever graduated from high school here, but he's dead. And we think you're the second. So can you come and talk in his place? Great. Great. I got to figure out some Robert Taylor conversation. But here's what's cool. So I'm going to have 1,000 people probably there, and I'm going to preach the gospel. Amen. I'm not going to come right out and just, hold my Bible and pound the desk, but I've been talking to some pastors, and I've got some ways to kind of Because you can't just throw it in their face. They're going to reject it. You got to put it out there. And so on the way home, mom and dad or husband and wife or whoever it is are talking, and they'll say, I think he was talking about Jesus, or God, don't you think? Yeah, I kind of think so. And I'll go, Zammo. All right. 20 minutes before, our guests today are Brandon McKnight and Jason Poole from Suncrest Hospice, community-based hospice, and also Steven Seagal from Golden Heart Senior Care. All right. What about now? All right. So are you guys part of the conversation of whether hospice should even be begun? Because I know I've known some people that when they heard that word hospice, it means 1 foot in the grave. And so they don't want their mom or their dad or anybody to have anything to do. We're not ready for hospice yet. Are you a part of that conversation, or is that conversation before you get there?
We're definitely part of that conversation. When the H word gets mentioned, people do exactly what you just mentioned. And I think a lot of that stems from, some of the myths about hospice, but more often people's personal experiences. So if you had a loved one who went to a hospice facility and passed away the next day, that is what hospice is to you. So to hear that, hospice can be provided for a longer term, it can be provided in your home. That's new information to a lot of folks, but you're right. That word carries a lot of fear along with it. So part of what we try to do is just educate. We're not there to try to convince people to start hospice services. That's a conversation between a prospective patient, their families, and honestly their physician. Because in order to provide hospice care, it has to be approved through their physician. They have to be able to make their own decisions to give consent to start hospice care or have a family member who's able to do that for them. And we need to be able to actually provide value to them. And so, one thing that we always have to do on the front end is make sure that they understand what services we provide, how often we provide those services, and make sure that they feel that they're going to get the support that they need.
When do you get called in? Obviously, Brandon, you're kind of the business end.
Right.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. And then when you get your job done, and then you go in as the chaplain?
Yes.
I'm asking?
Yes.
Okay. This is kind of a weird question, but I have it for you. Do you enjoy? It's not about better, worse, anything. But do you enjoy it when there is no pastor, and you get to fill that role of the spiritual leader that takes them to the other side?
That's a weird question.
I know. Or would you prefer to have the pastor there, the one that has the relationship with the family, and then you basically assist her or him?
I don't think one is better than the other. It's an honor if I go in and there is no existing faith community, whether it be a friend or a pastor or a representative from their church, if that is non-existent and they call for chaplain services, then that's an incredible honor. I see that as holy ground for me.
Okay.
But if there is a clergy involved, then I am there really to be...
Well, now back up. You're still clergy. Well, I'm just talking about a pastor that has a relationship with the family. I don't see you any different. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see you any different.
Okay, maybe I used the wrong word. If there is a pastor involved,
okay.
a minister from their congregation that they've been attending for, who knows how long, then I am there also to support them. There are many times when I'm talking with the family of a patient about, has anyone from their home church been out to visit? And most of the times there are people from the congregation. Has their pastor? I make the phone call sometimes with permission from the family to call the pastor, because maybe they just haven't thought about it, haven't gotten around to calling that pastor. Maybe that pastor is unaware that member is now in hospice care, and I want to make sure they have that information, because I'm assuming that if they knew that, there might be a little more care from that church family, from that pastor. And so I'm there as an advocate. I come alongside, and really we're all on the same team when it comes to that.
I'm talking with the folks from Suncrest Hospice. By the way, we need to tell them how to get a hold of you. SuncrestHospice.com?
Yep, you can go to our website.
Suncrestcare.com.
Both Jason and I have discussed, we're not necessarily huge fans of our own website, but no,
Don't worry about it.
You can always...
it's a way for people to find you. Yes.
Can we throw our phone number out there?
Absolutely.
You can always call our office to get more information at 515-327-6026, and you'll talk to somebody who can point you in the right direction.
Stephen?
We were talking before the break in regards to some of the situations that happen with families, in regards to the tug and pull of the relationships and what have you. And my question, I guess, would be, what would you suggest in regards to how they take care of their financial situations or the different things that go on with these end of life issues?
Right. Well, she probably wouldn't like us throwing her name out there, but I would recommend that Stephanie, our social worker, be the first person they talk to, because as a licensed social worker, one of the things that she's an expert at is finding the answer to questions like that, and she's done an excellent job of doing just that, helping people figure out what's the first step if I want to do a living will, if I want to get a durable power of attorney in place, the legal aspects of advanced directives and decision making that are critical in making sure that your wishes are carried out to as effectively as possible in the event that you can't make those decisions. And if Stephanie herself isn't able to do it, she always has a huge list of resources to help point families in the right direction.
All right, when we come back, I want you to share with my audience how they can get involved with this. Because this is a ministry, and I'm very interested in this. I don't know if Lane told you, but I years ago, tried to sign up for, with the Hospice on 56th Street. And because I was media, they wouldn't let me. And I understood why. I would never take advantage of my position in the midst of someone's end of days. But that's not to say somebody else wouldn't. And they turn it into a story. They'd sneak a camera in. I don't know what they do. But they have a rule, no media personalities, and I understand that. You don't have that rule, right?
Correct.
Okay, at least not yet.
Well, I mean, the expectation would be, confidentiality.
Because when I walk in there, I'm not a media guy. I'm a Jesus freak who's trying to bring these people the most comfort and family the most comfort I can. So, all right, we're going to take our last break. When we come back, how you can get involved. I think this is the part of the program God wanted you to pay attention to. There may be a ministry in here for you. Have you ever thought about that? Going in and caring for families and patients of people in their last hours and last days? That's awesome, man. Could be you. We'll talk about it next. Live on The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
All right, 10 minutes for the top of the hour. Salem Radio Network News and Hank the Bible Answer Man at 1-888-ASK-HANK. You can call in and ask any question. And it's so funny. Yesterday, our guest, Pastor Ben Mason from Lutheran Church of Hope, made the comment on the way out the door that he loves listening to Hank on his way home every day. And then I run into people who say, why don't you have a political or local or some type of talk show? Well, I think Hank is a talk show. He's just talking about the Bible. So anyway, appreciate. Hank the Bible Answer Man. We're very lucky to have him on this station. He can go on any station he wants, and he chooses to be on the Truth Network. All right, Lane Taylor is joining us, and Lane and I are buddies. We're old Alpha hosts from 150 years ago, and he joins us now to talk about this side of this service that Suncrest Hospice offers, and that's to guys and gals, men and women like you and I. This is radio. You have to talk.
Okay.
He's bobbing his head going, yes, I know.
You're correct, Mac. I enjoy volunteering. I'm a volunteer, so it's not my daytime job, but I've been doing it since February.
Yeah.
I went through training, and I've been assigned, and I've been given permission, so I'm not breaking any rules. The person I'm assigned to, his name is Russ, and I actually had lunch with him today, and enjoying it.
Good. All right. So, tell my listeners, in a very simple way, how they can get involved. What's step one? How they could be a volunteer hospice care person, or what do you call them?
A volunteer.
Okay.
They're volunteer.
All right.
If somebody asked me that question, I would direct them to call Jason, the chaplain at Suncrest, and that was my connection with them, was getting in touch with Jason. And then there's a training program that you go through, and then Jason finds the right match for you. He looks at those that are in the hospice care right now, and I don't know how you go about that part of it, matching people up, but I waited a few weeks before you paired me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a very easy on-ramp for volunteers. We hold a 4-hour training, only 4 hours. In fact, our next training is tomorrow from 1 to 5 in our offices, 5000 West Town Parkway, Suite 4, or 104. And we just kind of go through what is an expectation of a volunteer, what do I do once I come into this volunteer arena or ministry, and then really almost half of our volunteer training, we view a not very high quality video. I don't think it was shot at high quality, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, HBO did a documentary back in the mid-90s and followed 4 hospice teams across the country, kept the cameras rolling.
I remember that.
You remember that?
That was very good.
Yeah. It gives you a really good picture of what happens in hospice care, how the hospice team members from the organization work together, from the social worker, from the doctors, the nurses, the chaplain, how they all help bring care and support to that family and that individual. So we take 90 minutes and watch that, and we discuss it, and we address any fears or misgivings or any misinformation they may have brought into that training. And then, like Lane said, I carefully place a volunteer with a patient that we have that I think would be appropriate. That if we ask families, would it be okay?
Is it about the patient or the family? I mean, at that point, aren't most of the patients, I don't know how to say it, aren't a lot of them not really there?
Coherent? Unable. Yeah, unable. It depends. Some are.
Okay.
Some are very aware. Others are not. And that's when, really at admission, we ask the question, would you mind if your family member, loved one would, if we had a volunteer come in and spend time with them? Whether it's just talking or reading or whatever would provide comfort for them in that moment.
We're talking with we're talking with Jason Poole and Lane Taylor from Suncrest Hospice. And what is your role? I mean, you don't really work there.
No, I've been assigned to a gentleman, and I don't know if role is the right term. Mine is that we developed a friendship. I was introduced to him. Jason went the first time that I met him, and so the three of us sat and we just spent an hour talking. And at the end of the hour, the question was asked, "Would you like Lane to visit you again?" And my hospice patient person said he'd love it. And so we have once a week we get together. I take lunch to him, and we spend the time having lunch. And at the end of it, it's amazing for both of us because I pray for him, and he usually holds my hand and then prays for me. So,
how long will you have this relationship with him?
I have no idea.
What's his diagnosis, prognosis?
Yeah, well, because he's in hospice care, there is that expectation that he's not going to be with us for long. So,
hospice care is usually what, 2 to 3 weeks?
It depends.
Okay.
It depends. This is probably a Brendan question, but
well, he left. He just walked out of here. He said he had to pick up a Durley Q at Dairy Queen or whatever that is.
No, typically our admission, our first admissions is 90 days. Most of our patients will not last that long. Some last a little longer. So the expectation is for however long God has Russ with us, that's how long Lane will be with him.
And are your plans to be there at the end?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I had to think about it, and I did like you would do, Mac. I have two friends at church, and I went to both of them and said, I think God's calling me in this direction to work with people at the end of their life. What do you think? And so I prayed about it and accepted that if I get involved with someone and I get to know them, that there's going to be a day when they're not with me anymore, and I'm going to grieve.
How hard do you think that'll be for you?
I don't know if it's going to be that hard because my perspective on it is we all get excited when there's a newborn coming into this world.
Right.
And I think that God wants us to be happy when somebody's being called home because that's what we're really living for, is to go home.
All right, guys, thanks. Had a good show today. I appreciate you coming in. And I look forward just to finding out more myself.
Thank you.
I don't know how many times I want to do it. I don't know if I can. Well, no, wait a minute. I helped Rich Groters, or not Rich, Dr. Gruters.
Right.
I was there with him the last 3 days, and it was an experience I'll just simply never forget. I'll never, ever forget that. The moments that God brings you in the middle of this, and you know that he's there. The obvious reasons. All right, thanks for being here. Stephen, thank you for being here. You're welcome anytime. Speaking of somebody who's welcome anytime, Jebediah, you're welcome anytime. Thanks for being here. Frank, come as you can. All right, we are at the top of the hour. It is time for Hank, the Bible Answer Man. And so until I hear you again, remember to please forgive. Please forgive. Because as you forgive, that's how you'll be forgiven. I'll see you at church.